You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez coming to you from Washington. It's Wednesday, March 17, 2021. We have updates from our correspondents across North and Central America. El Aguilar is at Penn Station in Newark, New Jersey, exactly 1 year since the state went on lockdown because of COVID-19. Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Cash is no longer king in Canada.
Myla Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Agreement between Pennsylvania law enforcement and Pennsylvania's largest gun show promoter to halt the sale of ghost guns.
May Ann Manzano Guerzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey extends public health emergency, announces funding for COVID-19 emergency rental assistance program.
Randy Bayuga in Parisburg, Ohio.
FEMA and local volunteers kick off Cleveland mass vaccination.
Blue Aquino in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And Michigan to extend vaccinations eligibility to high-risk people 16 and up.
Grace Quarto in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin accelerates opening COVID-19 vaccinations for residents with medical conditions.
Angel Membrere in Sacramento tells us about California's COVID-19 rent relief for renters and landlords. Susan Husk in Dallas reports about Texas expanding Operation Lone Star to combat human trafficking related to illegal border crossings. Plus, May Davila in Ciudad de Panama reports about students in Panama receiving digital devices for remote classes. For EBC Sports, Tenny Sumage tells us about Jazz, Rudy Gobert, and Jordan Clarkson setting the tone for Jazz to beat Celtics, and LeBron James now part owner of the Boston Red Sox. Our coverage begins now. 6 Asian women were among 8 people shot and killed at spas around the U.S. city of Atlanta, raising fears Wednesday that it might be the most violent chapter yet in a wave of attacks on Asian Americans. A white man is in custody on suspicion of staging all 3 attacks. Crisp County Sheriff Billy Hancock says the FBI is investigating the case along with local authorities.
At approximately 8 o'clock this evening, Crisp County Sheriff's deputies, along with Georgia State Patrol troopers out of Post 30 Cordele, received information that a murder suspect out of North Georgia was getting close to entering our county. Troopers and deputies set up along the interstate and made contact with the suspect at about 8:30 p.m. Georgia State Patrol troopers performed the pit maneuver, which caused the vehicle to spin out of control. The subject was taken into custody without incident at mile marker 93 in Crisp County and transported to the Crisp County Jail. We've forwarded all this information to the Cherokee County authorities along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who is working with them, and they will be here in Crisp County in a short time to continue this investigation.
The Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported 4 of the victims were killed at Young's Asian Massage near Acworth, a suburb of Georgia, state capital Atlanta. U.S. police released a mugshot of 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long. Long was involved in 3 deadly shootings yesterday in the state of Georgia. Former President Barack Obama says in a tweet, anti-Asian violence must end following the deadly shootings in Atlanta. Obama says although the shooter's motive is not clear yet, the identity of the victims underscores an alarming rise in violence against Asians. Obama says this is yet another tragic reminder that there is far more work to do to put in place common sense gun safety laws and root out the pervasive patterns of hatred and violence in our society. He also urges meaningful action to save lives. During a visit to South Korea, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says violence has no place in America or anywhere after the Atlanta shootings.
I want to mention the attack that happened just a few hours ago in Atlanta, in which several women were killed, including, we believe, 4 women of Korean descent. We're horrified by this violence which has no place in America or anywhere. And I want to offer our deepest condolences to the families and friends of those who died, and to everyone in the Korean community who is shaken and deeply disturbed by this incident.
After the South Korean Foreign Ministry confirmed that 4 of the victims were of Korean descent, Blinken says the country will stand up for the rights of Americans, Korean Americans.
And we will stand up for the right of our fellow Americans and Korean Americans to be safe, to be treated with dignity and respect. That's a sentiment that I know my counterpart shares because we are united ultimately by shared values.
Now for COVID news, the city of Chicago, home to America's 3rd largest school district, has moved to a hybrid approach of in-person and remote learning to reopen classrooms. Let's take a look.
You need to shift everything you have thought about what the school looks like is all gone for now. But the staff and I have taken the approach of like, it's just kind of like one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. And then I'm not into predicting what the summer or the fall is going to look like. Like right now, our focus is making sure that our students, staff, and community feel safe being back here in the hybrid. There are some families and students that are doing well remotely, and they want to keep that as like their family safety barrier, and we absolutely respect that. We're doing everything we can to make sure that even if a student is remote, they're not disconnected from our school community.
For today's COVID-19 numbers, according to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, March 17, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now over 120,861,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: U.S. over 29.5 million, Brazil has over 11.6 million, and India with over 11.4 million. To date, more than 2,673,000 have succumbed to this virus. The U.S. leads the countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths with over 536,000. Brazil is next with more than 282,000, and Mexico has more than 195,000. It's been exactly a year today when New Jersey went on lockdown because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Eagle News correspondent El Aguilar returns to Penn Station in Newark, where she was this day a year ago. Let's take a look.
We're here in Newark, New Jersey, Penn Station. This is the 8th largest train station in North America. It's been a year since we reported the beginning of the global pandemic. At this very day last year, we showed how empty this train and bus station was following a lockdown ordered by the governor. Today, a year after, this place is not as busy as it should be. Just to give you an update of the situation here in New Jersey, since World Health Organization officially categorized coronavirus as global pandemic. There are 751,000 confirmed cases in New Jersey, more than 21,530 confirmed deaths. And in terms of vaccination, more than 2 million first doses were administered. More than 1 million second doses were given. A total of 3,143,000 vaccine doses were administered. In today's press briefing, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy said mask mandate is still in effect. And effective this Friday, March 19, indoor restaurants, spas, gyms, or health clubs are now allowed to open at 50% capacity. Going back to the vaccine rollout, there's only a little more than 3 million vaccines or vaccine doses were administered. New Jersey is not even halfway. New Jersey has 9 million residents living in this state. Reporting from Newark, New Jersey, Penn Station, El Aguilar, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, El. More on New Jersey with May Ann Manzano Garzon in a little bit. When we come back, We have updates from Edmonton, Alberta, and Pennsylvania. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas, a one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor attack.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. Cash isn't trending anymore in Canada. In Edmonton, Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness tells us why. Tom.
Thank you, Ace. Well, remember the days of the fat wallet? You know, we had lots of bills in it, a pocket full of change, folding money, a knuckle full of nickels. Not very common in Canada anymore. This once king of currency, like a deposed monarch, has been shuffled off to exile and forgotten. Oh, yeah, we find bits of folding money and coins lingering in wallets and desk drawers, but quite simply, people just don't want it anymore. In Canada, we were well on our way to a cashless society before the pandemic. COVID just sped things up. According to Square Incorporated, now this is a payment company that helps small businesses do digital payments. According to Square, since the pandemic began, the use of cash in this country, Canada, has dropped by almost half. Square notes that only 22% of local business purchases are paid with cash today. Only 1 out of 5. That compares with about 39% pre-COVID. Philippe Chacon, an economist with Square, says, you know, if it weren't for the pandemic, it would have taken more than 4 years to see the shift away from cash. In the early days of COVID, I know people, they just didn't want to handle this stuff. They were afraid it was going to be contaminated with coronavirus. But then we just got into the habit of paying for everything with, you know, credit cards, debit cards. Oh, isn't this much more convenient than having to run off to the bank to get some money or looking for an ATM? Convenience. And businesses began to feel the same way too. Square says 1 in 5 businesses no longer accepts cash. That's compared to last year, this time, 1 in 20. Well, that's okay. I'm kind of used to just using this, swiping my card. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you so much, Tom. Do you still use cash?
Very, very little. I seldom have more than $10 in my wallet. I actually had to look around for this prop tonight. I've started using checks more, though. For many years, I would only write maybe 1 or 2 checks a year. Now I'm writing them on a more regular basis. as an alternative to cash, but mostly it's just put it on the credit card, pay that off immediately, but collect your loyalty points. That's what I'm doing. It's strictly a matter of convenience. Ace?
Right, that makes sense. I didn't get to see that wad of cash that you were trying to show us earlier.
Well, just once. I mean, I'm just a poor pensioner.
Well, aside from people not wanting to physically handle money, what other factors are leading to a drop in the use of cash?
Well, probably the biggest one is online shopping. And I'm not just talking about that big mail order company named after a river in Brazil. Canadian businesses have really jumped onto the online selling bandwagon, especially with curbside pickup. So you can phone in your order or order it in online and pay for it online and just pick it up at the curb. And there's convenience as well. As I said, I don't have to go to the bank anymore for money. It's also more secure to go cashless. Somebody robs you on the street and steals your credit card, you just cancel it. They steal your cash, it's gone forever. And for businesses going cash, that also reduces the risk of robbery. One good point, though, for young people who are working the cash register, you know how they can't figure out how to count change? With digital stuff, they don't have to worry about that anymore. Ace?
Thank you so much, Thomas Likeness, Edmonton, Alberta. Pennsylvania's law enforcement and the state's largest gun show promoter reached an agreement halting the sale of ghost guns. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Myla Simbulan has the details. Myla.
That's right, Ace. Over a week ago, as part of a surveillance operation, 10 ghost guns and DIY kits were seized by law enforcement. Within hours, the guns found its way from Eagle Arms Gun Show in Morgantown, Pennsylvania, to the streets of Philadelphia, about 50 miles away. The defendants bought the gun kits with no background check because it's not required under Pennsylvania law. They assembled them quickly and then they sold them to the people of Philadelphia. These individuals, some of whom could not carry a gun legally, were arrested. Because of this incident, Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro and Eagle Arms Productions, the largest gun show promoter in Pennsylvania, reached an agreement to ban sale of what we call ghost gun kits. Here's Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro. Take a look.
I'm here in West Philly for a major announcement, and that is to say that Eagle Arms, the promoter for that gun show in Morgantown and the largest gun show promoter in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, has taken a major step. Indeed, this is a first in the nation step to curb the kind of gun violence that we are seeing as a result of these gun shows. Starting just a day ago, Eagle Arms has announced that they will no longer allow the sale of 80% receiver kits at all of their gun shows. That is the first time we are aware of in this nation that a gun show operator has partnered with law enforcement to stop the sale of these dangerous 80% receiver kits.
This marks the first gun show promoter in the nation to stop the sale of these unserialized 80% receivers. This comes as the number of ghost guns recovered in Philadelphia is 152% from 2019 to 2020, and 10,000 recovered nationally in 2019 alone. From January to April 2021, Eagle Arms Productions had 15 scheduled gun shows and made up 32% of total gun shows for that time period. An Office of Attorney General investigation resulting from the surveillance operations at an Eagle Arms gun show in Morgantown revealed that a purchaser of 80% receiver kits from the gun show was in a criminal enterprise that made and sold unserialized ghost guns on the streets of Philadelphia, making $500 on each sale. A second investigation resulting from the same gun show, an illegal gun manufacturing and trafficking operation of these ghost guns at a house in Philadelphia while executing a search warrant. Previous investigations show that those guns have been responsible for multiple homicides, including a polymer 80 9mm handgun used in 2 shooting deaths in July 2020 in Snyder County, made from the 80% receiver kits that are now no longer sold at Eagle Arms gun shows as a result of this historic agreement. Notably, the defendant charged with the 2 murders was prohibited from possessing a firearm at the time of the shooting. To date, 99 ghost guns in 2019, 250 in 2020, and more than 80 to date in 2021 have been recovered in Philadelphia. Investigations are ongoing. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Myla, very interesting. Ghost guns. Can you, for the benefit of our viewers, can you tell us more about what are ghost guns?
So there are actually 2 types of ghost guns. Those are made of plastic, and they are made out of 3D printers. So you can print it at home. And those made with kits, that the one we're talking about, they supply the 80% of the gun, or what we call 80% receivers. So those are often sold in kits. And when they sell it to you, you don't need a background check. And the other 20%, you only need to do some minor drilling and milling to add that 20%. And that includes the trigger, the barrel, and the firing pin. And both the 80% and the 20%, you could easily purchase them online. And they and you can really easily and quickly put them together. And they don't have serial numbers, so they cannot be traced. And once it's fully assembled, you can operate it as a fully functioning firearms. Ace?
So the kit is composed of 80% of the parts, and then you buy the 20% for it.
Yes.
See, is it, and it's not traceable. It doesn't.
It's not traceable.
No,
nope. There's no serial number.
There you go. I see.
It's
So
online. And yeah, you don't need to present anything. There's no background check. Yep.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for that, Myla Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. Up next is from New Jersey, Ohio, and Michigan. Eagle News America will return shortly.
Start up your weekday mornings with edutainment, news, and information kasama ang inyong paboritong Net25 shows. Samahan ang inyong paboritong morning barkada sa Pambansang Almusal at 5 a.m. Tatalakayin mga pangunahing balita sa pagtutulungan ng Radyo Agila at Net25. Samahan si Weng de la Fuente sa Balitalakayan, 7 a.m. Saganang Mamamayan at 8 a.m. NHK World at 9 a.m. Eagle News International at 10 a.m. At mga balitang dapat niyong malaman mula sa Agila, Pilipinas at 11 a.m. This is your morning startup every weekday mornings only here on Net25.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization, startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights, sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. Several stories from New Jersey tonight. Governor Phil Murphy extends the state's public health emergency. Plus, the state announces funding for the COVID-19 rental assistance program. In Sicklerville, May Ann Manzano-Guerzon has the details. May Ann.
Thank you, Ace. As reported by the Office of Governor Phil Murphy, today he signed Executive Order number 231. The order extends the public health emergency that was declared on March 9, 2020 through Executive Order number 103. Under the Emergency Health Powers Act, a declared public health emergency expires after 30 days unless renewed. Take a look.
I have signed an executive order extending for another 30 days the current public health emergency initially declared on March 9th, 2020. As we have noted many times before, unless extended, these emergencies expire after 30 days. Today's action means that we can continue our ongoing COVID-19 mitigation efforts while also vaccinating New Jersey residents as quickly and safely as possible. I want to emphasize that the Department of Health's ability to regulate the distribution of the vaccine especially is linked to the declaration of a public health emergency. Failing to extend the public health emergency would threaten our vaccination effort, just as we expect our vaccine supply to exponentially increase over the next few weeks. And of course, the faster we can get most New Jersey residents vaccinated, the faster we can end this pandemic and get back to normal.
In other news, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, Union City Mayor Brian Stack, and state and local officials announced $353 million in funding to help low to moderate income households, including the homeless, through the second phase of the COVID-19 Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Take a look.
So I'm very pleased to, as Mayor Stack said, be here to announce a $353 million appropriation for the COVID-19 Emergency Rental Assistance Program. The program will be run by the Department of Community Affairs, and I serve as commissioner of that department, and it will provide up to 12 months of rental assistance to low and moderate income families in New Jersey. Who will be eligible for this are those who have had substantial reduction in their income as a result of the pandemic, those who have incurred significant costs as a result of the pandemic, or experienced a financial hardship due directly or indirectly to the pandemic. I think about people whose hours have been cut at their jobs, people whose jobs just shut down totally, people whose jobs have said, well, we're not going to be able to make it, we're going to close up. This program is for people who have been affected in that way. So the governor and I, we urge people who have been economically impacted by COVID-19 and can't afford to pay their rent, please apply for this program. The application period will open up on March 22nd. March 22nd at 9 a.m. That's a Monday. Take note of that.
And for New Jersey's latest COVID-19 numbers, the Department of Health has reported another 3,590 new positive cases today, bringing our statewide total to 751,082. Sadly, we are also reporting 38 new confirmed deaths, pushing the total to 21,530 fatalities. On the brighter side, the latest total of COVID-19 vaccinations already administered here in New Jersey is now 3,143,096. And for a quick weather update, Ace, it's currently 10:11 in the evening here in New Jersey, and it's currently cloudy. It is 43 degrees Fahrenheit. or 6 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, May and Manzano Garzon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, May Ann. How can people apply for the rental assistance program, and when is the deadline?
Well, Ace, according to Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, application is done online and will not accept paper application. However, the office will provide assistance over the phone to those who may have difficulty using the computer, Ace, or with those who may have difficulty navigating due to language barrier. And when it comes to deadline of application, it will remain open until adequate number of people have applied, according to the Lieutenant Governor, but there was no specific number mentioned. And she also said that it's until the funds are exhausted, according to Sheila Oliver. Ace?
Thank you so much, May Ann Manzano Garzon, Sicklerville, New Jersey. The Federal Emergency and Management Agency, or FEMA, alongside several state agencies and local volunteers, lead the COVID mass vaccination in downtown Ohio. In Pearisburg, Randy Bayuga reports.
Thank you, Ace. Governor Mike Dewine visits Cleveland State University's Wolfenstein Center at downtown Cleveland. This site is one of 1,300 sites for mass vaccinations occurring in the coming 8 weeks all over Ohio. It will see about 1,500 Ohioans today and will be open 7 days a week to serve the surrounding community. Governor Mike DeWine is also promoting the use of gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov to set up appointments online for vaccinations at the Cleveland site and or the 1,300 other local providers across Ohio. Let's watch this. FEMA, Ohio Department of Health, the Ohio National Guards, U.S. Department of Defense, City of Cleveland, along with local volunteers, including city and county organizations, are working together at the Wolfenstein Center. On March 19, 2021, Phase 1E and 2C will be enabled. 1E will allow Ohioans suffering from cancer, chronic kidney disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, heart disease, and obesity. Phase 2C will target Ohioans 40 years of age and older. This will provide another 1.6 million Ohioans access to the vaccine. And then beginning March 29, 2021, vaccinations will include ages 16 and older. Teens 16 and 17 years old will only be allowed to use the Pfizer vaccine, as it is the only one approved by the FDA for their age group. Today, the governor also visited sites in Shelby, Ohio, at the Shelby Community and Senior Center. The governor has been making his rounds throughout Ohio this week, visiting sites for vaccinations in Maumee, Greenville, Findlay, Cincinnati, and Marysville, Ohio. Currently, 2,495,353 Ohioans have been vaccinated, and a total of 993,681 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and sadly, a total number of 17,992 deaths. All key indicators are trending down. Pearisburg, Ohio, Eagle News, Ronnie Bayuga. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you so much, Randy. What are Ohio's plans for K-12 schools?
K-12 schools are going back to school live, in person, starting after the winter break. So my kids will be attending school at the high school. Right now, they are kind of like a half and half, attending school online and at the school. But after their break this week, they will be back to school full time. And that's a great thing for some of us parents.
Can't tell if you're excited or not.
I am actually. What they've also done is actually just the other day, they've opened up spring sports and extracurricular activities. It was signed to be allowing students to participate in organized sporting and extracurricular events, so long as they do not show any signs or symptoms of the COVID-19. And they only allow this if they follow the safety precautions. But if students show symptoms at the school because of exposure to school, that's the only time that they will actually quarantine them. But if they are exposed at the school but show no symptoms, they can continue to participate in the events. Now, the other catch is if they were exposed outside of school, they will have to follow the quarantine rules set by the FDA. So it's it's going to be almost normal for the kids when they go back to school.
That's a good thing. Trying to a sense of normalcy in the midst of this craziness. Thank you so much, Randy Bayuga, Parisburg, Ohio. The state of Michigan is expanding its vaccination eligibility to individuals aged 16 to 64 who have disabilities or pre-existing medical conditions. In Grand Rapids, Lou Aquino is with us this evening with the details. Lou.
Thank you, Ace. Michigan is currently in Phase 1C of Michigan's COVID-19 vaccination implementation schedule. As part of this phase, starting Monday, March 22nd, Michigan residents ages 16 and above with disability or medical conditions that put them at high risk for COVID-19 will be eligible to receive the vaccine. After 2 weeks on April 5, Phase 2 will begin. This means that the rest of Michiganders ages 16, not previously eligible, will be able to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Those eligible to receive vaccinations on March 22nd are as follows. Individuals aged 16 to 64, years living with disabilities, substance use disorders, severe mental illness, and or with COPD, hypertension, chronic kidney disease, heart disease, diabetes, and obesity, to name a few. A more comprehensive list is available on the CDC website. Although vaccinations eligibility will be expanded, those who are at the highest risk, such as the elderly, essential workers, and frontline workers, are still at top of priority for receiving vaccinations. Providers are expected to consider an individual's risk of exposure due to employment or their vulnerability to severe disease in determining how to schedule appointments. Michigan has set an initial operational goal of vaccinating against COVID-19 70% of people aged 16 years of age and older, or about 5.6 million people by the end of this year. With the expansion of eligibility to receive the vaccination, the state is getting closer to helping bring a quicker end to this pandemic. Governor Gretchen Whitmer says nearly 1 million Michiganders of all races have already been safely vaccinated. The governor urges eligible Michiganders to get one of 3 COVID-19 vaccines to get the country back to normal. In Grand Rapids, Michigan, Lou Aquino, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Abe.
Thank you. I'm from Michigan. I'm eligible. How do I make an appointment?
So those who are eligible to receive the vaccine should actually check the website of the local health departments or hospitals to find out their process for registration forms, or check additional vaccination sites such as local pharmacies. Residents who don't have access to the internet or who need assistance navigating the vaccine scheduling process can call the COVID-19 hotline at 888-535-6136. And they're available actually from Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And also, if you are living in Detroit right now, in the Detroit area, registration is now open for Michigan COVID-19 vaccination clinic at the Ford Field. Some important things to note is that the vaccine will be offered at no cost and insurance is not required, nor will it be requested at a vaccination center. Any Michigan resident who is currently eligible to receive the vaccine under the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services vaccine prioritization guidance will be available to register for an appointment.
Thank you so much, Lou Aquino, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Up next, updates from Wisconsin, California, and Panama, and EBC Sports.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. The state of Wisconsin is accelerating its COVID-19 vaccination program as it opens up eligibility to individuals with medical conditions. In Milwaukee, Eagle News correspondent Grace Cuarto reports. Grace.
Thanks, Ace. Governor Tony Evers announces the next group will now be eligible for the vaccine beginning March 22nd. Evers said moving up eligibility for this critical group will help the state, quote, get over the finish line and sooner and get us back to our Wisconsin way of life. The new eligibility group includes those who are at an increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19. Due to increased vaccine availability, DHS said it anticipates the general public will be eligible for the vaccine beginning May 1st. The decision to expand eligibility to include individuals with certain medical conditions supports recommendations provided by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and was informed by the State Disaster Medical Advisory Committee. The next eligibility group vulnerable to COVID-19 includes individuals ages 16 and over with the following medical conditions: moderate to severe asthma, cancer, cerebral vascular disease, which affects the blood vessels and blood supply to the brain, chronic kidney disease, and COPD, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. For a complete list for these conditions, go to www.dhs.wisconsin.gov. Current eligibility includes frontline healthcare personnel, residents and staff in skilled nursing and assisted living facilities, police and fire personnel, and correctional staff, adults ages 65 and older, educators and childcare, individuals enrolled in Medicaid long-term care programs, some public-facing essential workers, non-frontline essential healthcare personnel, staff and residents in congregate living facilities. Sources say next eligible group will likely be adding more than 2 million Wisconsinites who are currently eligible for the COVID vaccine. However, providers may need to prioritize those who are at a higher risk. Officials also clarify that members of the clergy, restaurant workers, and public safety workers like judges, prosecutors, and public defenders are also included in the group. Individuals with outlined medical conditions can access the vaccine through a variety of options, including community-based clinics, healthcare providers, local and tribal health departments, and pharmacies. Wisconsinites with a primary care provider may hear directly from their provider. Visit Wisconsin COVID-19 vaccine options page or call the toll-free vaccine hotline at 1-844-684-1064 to learn more. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Grace Cuarto, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Grace. It looks like Milwaukee is full speed ahead in the vaccination, in its vaccination program. What steps is Wisconsin taking to stop the spread of emerging strains?
Officials say it's important to double down on ways to stop the spread of COVID-19 due to the emerging strains of the virus. Wearing face masks, staying physically distant, washing hands, and getting tested continue to be crucial tools in protecting the communities against COVID-19.
Have you had your vaccine, Grace?
I've actually had the first step, but I am scheduled to have the second step on April 6th.
I see. Same with me. I'm scheduled in the third week of March. Are you back to work in office?
I actually, as part of the healthcare providers, are still seeing patients directly. So yes, I am working in the field, but wearing a mask and washing hands and following proper distance. I've actually been lucky enough to not get sick. So good job on that.
Good to know. Be safe out there, all right? Thank you so much, Grace Cuarto, Wisconsin. In California, renters and landlords having difficulty with rent payments now have an opportunity to apply for assistance through the state's Rent Relief Initiative. To tell us more about the program in Sacramento, Bureau Chief Angel Membrere reports.
Thank you. The effects of COVID-19 continue to be felt in communities across the nation. Many families were unexpectedly left without a stable income, making it difficult to make payments on rent. Due to this, as part of California's COVID-19 Rent Relief Initiative, they have launched HousingIsKey.com. Through this resource, people may check their eligibility and relief and apply for assistance. In summary, this will help cover a portion of unpaid rent from April 2020 till now. Applications are now open, and if accepted, both the renters and landlords will be able to receive financial assistance. Requirements listed for the website for renters include the following. Number 1, have qualified for unemployment due to COVID-19. Number 2, risk of experiencing homelessness or housing instability. And 3, household income is not more than 80% of the area median income. It is also important to note that applicants will not be required to show proof of citizenship. Another emphasized note from HousingIsKey.com is, the key thing to remember is that by June 30th, 2021, you must pay 25% of the rent due between September 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. So for those planning to apply for rent relief, there are certain protection guidelines for both tenants and landlords to be aware of. Please visit HousingIsKey.com for more details, as well as to start an application. In Sacramento, California, Angel Membrere, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Angel. It looks good. As long as you meet the requirements, whether you're a citizen or not, you can apply for rental assistance. Isn't that a good program? In response to what he calls gaps left by Washington, Governor Greg Abbott says Texas will step up in securing the border and continue its fight against human trafficking. In Dallas, Eagle News correspondent Susan Husk has the details.
Thank you, Ace, and howdy from the Lone Star State. Texas Governor Greg Abbott held a press conference today across the street from the Dallas Convention Center, where over 3,000 migrant teenagers are expected to be sheltered this week. The governor announced the expansion of Operation Lone Star to include efforts to combat human trafficking related to illegal border crossings. The expansion will involve the Texas Department of Public Safety troopers and agents, as well as the Texas Rangers, to interview the unaccompanied minors who cross the border and find out if they were victims of human trafficking, in order to help authorities arrest the traffickers. He requested that the Biden administration allow DPS to access the federally operated facilities in Texas to conduct their interviews. Just this past February, over 100,000 people crossing the Mexico-U.S. border were already apprehended by immigration officials, and more than 4,200 teenagers and younger children are being held in detention cells along the border. Governor Abbott stated that President Biden's reckless, open border policies have created a humanitarian crisis that is enriching the cartels, smugglers, and human traffickers who often prey on and abuse unaccompanied minors. He also stated that whether it's securing the border or fighting human trafficking, the state of Texas will always step up to fill the gaps left by Washington. Stay tuned to Eagle News for further updates. I hope you are staying healthy and safe in your part of the country. In Dallas, Texas, I'm Susan Huss, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
In Panama, the country's Ministry of Education begins distributing tablets to students studying in several education centers to maximize remote learning. In Ciudad de Panama, May Davila files this report.
The Ministerio de Educación, or MEDUCA, began this week distribution of tablets in the regions of Panama Centro, San Miguelito, Panama Este, and Panama Oeste. MEDUCA says the digital devices are intended for 12th grade students and adolescents with some disabilities studying in different educational centers. This aims to reinforce the teaching-learning process they receive through different digital platforms. This will provide valuable support to connect parents and students of the Instituto Mexico Panama and Venancio Fenosa Pascual from the educational region of Panama Este with teachers and make the most of the classes taught under remote mode. The distribution of these electronic devices is part of the 25,000 recently delivered to MEDUCA and of another 25,000 in inventory. For students to have access to efficient connectivity, public-private alliances are made to expand the delivery of technological equipment. 50,000 of them will be delivered to 12th grade students this year. Desde Ciudad de Panama, May Davila, Eagle News. Vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Now for some NBA news. In Boston, the Celtics lose to the Jazz but gain LeBron James as part owner of the Red Sox. Tenny Sumage has the details.
The Jazz bounced back from Sunday's double-digit loss to the Warriors to beat the Celtics on Tuesday. The victory gave head coach Quinn Snyder his 300th career victory, thanks to the dominance of Rudy Gobert and Jordan Clarkson off the bench.
One of the things, and we've talked about Rudy, is his activity, his ability to do multiple things on defense and to make multiple effort plays. And when we're solid, the other four guys are on the court, he has a chance to be even more impactful. And I thought, really the biggest thing with Rudy is our ability to communicate with him and with whoever's in the game or in the action, because that allows him to make plays.
I think we did a great job playing defense in fourth, and I think we did a good job for the most part at the end, executing, and we were able to get to the line because they were fouling, and And when we get the stops and we set our defense, it was hard for them to score in half court.
You know, Rudy's a pretty big target, and you know, I've had a chance to, you know, build this relationship with him. You know, he coming to me every other time out, telling me, you know, what the reads are, and stuff like that. So us having that open dialogue makes everything easier. And I know if, you know, I ever get in trouble, I can just throw it to the moon. I mean, he's like 7'3", and, you know, he's pretty long. So if anybody switches out, he'll be able to catch it and make a play as well.
The Celtics came close within 3 points with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left in the fourth quarter. But Donovan Mitchell's three-pointer and a pair of free throws by Gobert gave the Jazz the victory. Jason Tatum finished with 29 points for the Celtics.
Especially like a team like the Jazz, I think what makes them really good is they, more often than not, they just make the right play, make the right read. And, you know, we're more than capable of it. It's just doing it more often than not.
In other news, LeBron James and his business partner Maverick Carter have agreed to be part owners of the Boston Red Sox. The pair are the first black owners to be part of the team's ownership group.
You know, as far as the Red Sox, you know, obviously a historical franchise, and you know, we know the history of the you know, the World Series championships they've, you know, brought back home to Boston, and the players that's come through there, and the legacy that they hold in that area. So I think for me and for my partner Maverick to be the first two you know, black men to be you know, a part of that ownership group in the history of that franchise, you know, it gives me and people that look like me, you know, hope and inspiration that they can be in a position like that as well, that it can be done. It gives my kids at my I Promise school more and more inspiration as well. But it's a great day for myself, for my family, for my school, for my business partner Maverick Carter, and everyone that has something to do with our group.
Tune in to Eagle News for more stories and highlights of the NBA throughout the season. In New York, Tenny Samagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you so much, Tenny. As always, at the end of every broadcast, we do not forget to recognize the efforts of our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers by giving them a round of applause. Thank you for being our modern-day heroes. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ace Ramirez. We live in interesting times.